Or something is coming, not a rumor, not a clickbait headline designed to steal your attention for a few seconds and disappear. Something real, something massive, something moving through the dark, silent depths of space heading toward the very system you call home. And here's what should shake you. We didn't see it coming. Let that sink in. For decades, humans have built powerful telescopes. We've mapped planets, tracked comets, studied distant galaxies. We've convinced ourselves that we have a handle on what's out there. But this slipped through. Not because we're careless, but because the universe is bigger, darker, and far less predictable than your mind is comfortable accepting. You've been told space is mostly empty, a calm, quiet vacuum. That's a lie of convenience. Space is not empty. It's filled with motion, with invisible forces, with objects moving at speeds you cannot imagine, carrying energy that could reshape entire systems without effort. And sometimes one of those objects crosses a line, our line. This isn't just about a rock or a chunk of ice drifting aimlessly. This is about something with momentum, with direction, with a trajectory that intersects with the delicate balance of our solar system. And it didn't ask to enter. It didn't slow down. It didn't send a signal. It just appeared because reality doesn't operate on your schedule. That's the first thing you need to understand. The universe doesn't warn you before it changes everything. You wake up thinking life is stable, predictable, under control. But that's just your perspective from the ground. Zoom out and stability disappears. You are standing on a planet that is spinning, orbiting, and constantly exposed to forces you cannot see. Asteroids pass by. Radiation floods through space. Gravitational pulls stretch and twist trajectories across millions of kilometers. And most of the time, you don't notice because you can't, because your brain filters it out to keep you functioning. But for every once in a while, something breaks through that filter, something too big to ignore. That's what this object is, a crack in the illusion. A reminder that your understanding of reality is incomplete. Think about it. If something this large can approach our solar system without being detected early enough, what else exists beyond your awareness? What other forces, objects, or events are already in motion right now without your knowledge? You assume safety because nothing has happened yet. That's not logic, that's comfort. And comfort is dangerous when it blinds you to reality. Because the truth is simple and brutal. You are not living in a controlled environment. You are surviving in a dynamic system, a system where things move, collide, evolve. A system where the difference between everything is fine and everything changes can be one object, one moment, one trajectory. And right now, something is moving closer. You might want to dismiss it, minimize it, turn it into just another piece of information you scroll past. But deep down, there's a part of you that understands the weight of this. That quiet voice that says, this matters, because it does. Not just scientifically, but psychologically, existentially. It forces you to confront something you've been avoiding your entire life. You are not as safe as you think. Your world is not as stable as it feels. And reality is not obligated to protect your sense of normal. This object, whatever it turns out to be, is more than just a physical presence in space. It's a message, not one sent intentionally, but one that exists regardless. A message that says, your assumptions are fragile, your awareness is limited, and your place in this universe is smaller than you ever wanted to admit. That doesn't mean you're powerless, but it does mean you've been overestimating your control and underestimating the scale of what surrounds you. So now you have a choice. You can ignore this, shrink it down, file it, away as interesting but irrelevant, or you can face it, really face it, and start seeing reality for what it actually is, not what you've been told it is. Because once you see that clearly, you don't go back. You think you're in control. Your plans feel solid. Your routine feels stable. Your future feels like something you can shape if you just try hard enough. But that feeling, it's manufactured. Not by the universe, but by your brain. Because the alternative is terrifying. Look at your life for a second. You plan days ahead, weeks ahead, years ahead. You map out careers, relationships, goals. You believe effort equals outcome. That discipline guarantees results. That if you just stay focused, everything will fall into place. Now zoom out, way out. Your entire life is happening on a planet that is orbiting a star at around 107,000 kilometers per hour. That star itself is moving through the galaxy. That galaxy is moving through an expanding universe. And you are trying to control a few decisions inside that chaos. Do you see the mismatch? You're applying a sense of control in a system that was never designed to give it to you. And now something from deep space is entering that system, not slowing down, not asking permission, not adjusting to your plans. So ask yourself honestly, what exactly do you control? You can control your actions, your effort, your choices. But outcomes, those are negotiated with reality. And reality doesn't always agree. That's the second harsh. For truth, control is limited. And most of what you think you control, you don't. You don't control gravity. You don't control time. You don't control the motion of objects millions of kilometers away that can still affect you. You don't control the fragile balance that allows your planet to support life. You exist inside a system of rules defined by physics, not preference. And those rules don't bend because you're comfortable. They don't pause because you're not ready. They don't care if your plans are unfinished. If this incoming object is harmless, nothing changes. You breathe. You move on. You forget this ever mattered. But if it's not harmless, there will be no negotiation. No, let's try again. No reset button. Just cause and effect. That's how the universe operates. Clean, precise, indifferent. And that should force a shift in how you think. Because if you're honest, a lot of your life is built on assumptions. You assume tomorrow will come. You assume things will stay. They're stable long enough for you to figure everything out. You assume you have time. But those assumptions are not guaranteed. They're patterns you've observed, and patterns can break. This object is a perfect example. It wasn't part of your assumptions. It wasn't part of your plan. Yet here it is real, measurable, and moving. That's how reality works. It introduces variables you didn't account for. And suddenly, everything you thought was stable isn't. So what do you do with that? You don't panic. You don't give up. You adjust. You shift from illusion to awareness. Because understanding your lack of control is not weakness. It's clarity. It forces you to stop wasting energy on things you can't influence and start focusing on what you actually can. Your response, your mindset, your ability to act when it matters. Because here's the part most people miss. You don't need full control to live a powerful life. You need accurate awareness. The problem isn't that the universe is chaotic. The problem is that you've been pretending it's not. And that pretending has consequences. It makes you delay action. It makes you take time for granted. It makes you believe there will always be another chance. But when you truly understand how little control you have over the bigger system, something changes. You stop waiting. You stop assuming. You stop living like life is guaranteed, because it's not. And ignoring that truth, that's where people lose everything. Not because the universe targeted them, but because they were unprepared for reality. This incoming object doesn't just challenge physics. It exposes your mindset. It shows you how quickly things outside your control can enter your life and change everything. And once you see that clearly, you can't go back to pretending. So the real question is, now that you know control is limited, what are you going to do differently? You think you understand big. You don't. Your brain can't. It was never designed to. You can imagine a mountain, a city, maybe even a planet if you try hard enough. But beyond that, everything becomes abstract, blurry, unreal. And that's exactly why the truth is so easy to ignore. Because the moment scale becomes incomprehensible, it stops feeling real. But it is real. And it's happening whether you understand it or not. This object moving toward our solar system isn't just large. It exists on a scale that makes your entire frame of reference collapse. We're talking about something that could dwarf entire regions of space you casually think of as empty. Something that has traveled for millions, possibly billions of years, uninterrupted. Think about that. Before humans existed, it was already moving. Before Earth even formed, it may have already been on its path. And now, after all that time, it's here, crossing into your awareness for the first time. That alone should force you to confront a brutal realization. You are not living at the center of anything. You are catching a brief, a glimpse of a much larger story already in motion. The universe didn't start when you were born. It doesn't pause when you sleep, and it won't end when you're gone. It continues relentless, indifferent, and unimaginably vast. Now here's where it gets uncomfortable. Because once you truly understand scale, something inside you shifts. Your problems don't disappear, but they shrink massively. That stress you carry every day, the anxiety, the pressure, the constant noise in your mind, zoom out far. Enough and it becomes microscopic. That doesn't mean it's not real to you, but it does mean it's not as important as you've been treating it. And that's the third harsh truth. Most of what consumes your mind has no significance beyond your immediate perspective. Not because your life doesn't matter, but because the scale you exist within is too large for those things to hold lasting weight. Stars explode with more energy than you can comprehend. Galaxies collide and reshape themselves over time. Black holes consume matter without leaving a trace. And here you are worried about things that won't matter in a week, a month, or a year. That's not judgment. That's perspective. And perspective is powerful if you're willing to face it. Because once you accept the true scale of the universe, you're forced to make a decision. Either you keep living small, or you rise to meet that scale with how you think and act. This incoming object is a perfect example of that scale in action. It's not personal. It's not targeted. It's just following the laws of physics laws that operate far beyond your control and far beyond your everyday awareness. And yet, Those same laws govern your entire existence. Every breath you take, every step you make, every second you live. All of it is happening inside a system so vast that your mind can barely process it. So what does that mean for you? It means you've been underestimating reality and overestimating your importance within it. This doesn't. Or make your life meaningless. It makes it rare, temporary, fragile. You are a conscious being in a universe that mostly isn't. That alone is extraordinary. But it also means your time here is limited, not just by age, but by the unpredictable nature of the system you exist in. This object didn't ask for your approval to enter your solar system. Just like countless events throughout cosmic history didn't ask before reshaping everything in their path. That's how scale works. It doesn't consult you. It moves and you adapt or you don't. Most people avoid thinking about this because it feels overwhelming, too big, too heavy, too uncomfortable. So they shrink their world down to something manageable, something safe, something predictable. But that safety is an illusion, because the real universe is still out there, massive, dynamic, and completely indifferent to your comfort. Ignoring it doesn't make it go away. It just keeps you blind. And blindness is dangerous, because when something finally forces you to face reality, you're not ready. This is that moment. Not because this object will definitely change everything, but because it could. And that possibility alone should wake you up to the scale, to the truth, to the reality you've been avoiding. Because once you truly understand how big everything is, you stop thinking small, or you get left behind by a universe that never needed you to begin with. Most people will hear this and move on. They'll treat it like background. Or noise, another headline, another space story, another thing that feels far away and irrelevant. That's the default reaction. Minimize, ignore, continue. Because if they don't, they'd have to confront something uncomfortable. They'd have to admit that reality is bigger than their routine, that their sense of stability is thinner than it feels, and that scares people. So they shrink the truth until it fits inside their comfort zone. But you shouldn't, because this isn't just information. It's a pressure test on your mindset. A moment that asks one simple question: are you actually paying attention to reality, or just living inside your assumptions? This object, whatever it turns out to be, isn't just a physical event. It's a psychological trigger. It forces a crack in your worldview. And what you do with that crack determines everything. You can patch it up quickly, ignore it, go back to normal. Or you can widen it and finally see what's been there all along. Because once you stop filtering reality to make it feel safe, you start seeing things clearly. You start noticing how fragile everything is, how temporary, how dependent your entire existence is on conditions you don't control. And instead of panicking, you sharpen. That's the shift. Not fear, not denial, clarity. You stop wasting time on things that don't matter. You stop delaying decisions that you know you need to make. You stop pretending you have unlimited chances. Because now you understand something most, where people avoid: time is not guaranteed, it's borrowed. And it can be taken back by age, by chance, by forces you'll never see coming. Just like this object. No warning, nor negotiation. Just reality unfolding. So what changes when you truly accept that? Your priorities, your focus, your standards. You become more selective with your energy, more honest with yourself, more willing to act even when it's uncomfortable. Because waiting starts to feel dangerous, not physically, but mentally. Waiting becomes a trap, a slow leak of your potential, a way of hiding from reality instead of engaging with it. And that's where most people lose. Not because something cosmic destroys their life, but because they waste the time they do have pretending they'll always have more. That's the real consequence of ignoring this moment. Not the object, but the mindset that dismisses it. Because if you can ignore something this big, you can ignore anything. You can ignore your own limitations, your own delays, your own excuses. And slowly, without realizing it, you drift. Not through space, but through your own life, unaware, unfocused, and unprepared. This is where you need to make a decision. Right now, not later, not when things settle. Now. Are you going to keep living on autopilot? Or are you going to wake up to the fact that reality is unpredictable, unstable, and constantly moving? Because once you truly accept that, you don't freeze, you don't give up, you move with intention, with urgency, or with awareness. You stop trying to control everything and start mastering your response to anything. That's the real power shift, not controlling the universe, but no longer being blindsided by it. This object doesn't just test physics, it tests you, your awareness, your mindset, your willingness to face truth without softening it. And if you pass that test, something changes permanently. You stop living like you're safe and start living like you're awake. Let's strip everything down to the truth. No comfort, no filters, no soft language. You are living inside a system that can change instantly. Not slowly, not gradually, instantly. One event, one object. One shift and everything you call normal can disappear. That's not fear talking, that's physics. Planets don't get guarantees. Stars don't promise stability. And the universe doesn't pause to make sure you're ready. This incoming object, whether it ends up harmless or not, is just a reminder. A blunt, unavoidable reminder of how reality actually works. Unpredictable, uncontrolled, unforgiving. And yet, despite knowing this, you hesitate, you delay. You act like you have time stored somewhere waiting for the perfect moment. You tell yourself, I'll start later. I'll fix it later. I'll become who I need to be later. But later is the biggest illusion you're living under. Because later assumes stability. Later assumes time will keep showing up for you. Later assumes nothing will interrupt your plan, and you all ready. No, that's not true. You've just been avoiding it. Here's the truth most people will never say out loud. You are always one unknown event away from a completely different life. Sometimes that change is small. Sometimes it's massive, but it's always possible. And ignoring that possibility doesn't protect you. It weakens you because it keeps you unprepared, passive, asleep. This is where the real problem begins. Not with the universe, but with you. Because the universe is doing exactly what it's always done, moving, evolving, operating on laws that don't care about your comfort. The question is, why aren't you doing the same? Why are you still waiting? Why are you still thinking small? Why are you still acting like your time is unlimited? You've seen the truth now. You've felt it. That slight discomfort, that realization that things are not as stable as they seem, that your control is limited, that your place in this universe is small, but your awareness doesn't have to be. So what are you going to do with that? Ignore it? Scroll past it? Go back to the same patterns that keep you stuck? Or finally change something? Because this is the moment most people waste. The moment where reality becomes clear and then slowly fades as they return to distraction. Don't do that. Don't let this become just another thought you had and forgot. Turn it into action right now. Make a decision you've been avoiding. Start something you've been delaying. End something that's been holding you back. Speak truth where you've been silent. Move where you've been frozen. Because here's the final truth, the one that hits hardest. You don't need a cosmic event to change your life. You just need to stop acting like you have forever. The universe already showed you what's possible, how quickly things can shift, how little control you actually have over the big picture. So stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting for certainty. Stop waiting for the perfect conditions that may never come. They were never guaranteed. They never will be. This is it, this moment, this awareness, this chance to act differently. And if you ignore it, life won't punish you. It will simply move on without you noticing what you lost. Time will pass. Opportunities will close. Potential will fade. Not because you weren't capable, but because you chose comfort over truth. So here's your final reality check. You are alive in a universe that owes you nothing. You are aware in a system that doesn't need you. And you are capable of more than you're allowing yourself to become. But none of that matters if you don't act. So act. No excuses, no delays, no waiting. Think bigger. Move faster. Live like reality is real because it is.